Hi guys, Tom here from Getting Into TV, your home to learning everything there is to know about working on things like Doctor Who, to Crime Watch Live, to Casualty, to the natural history David Attenborough documentaries. This is where you need to be, as every episode I talk to a different industry person about what it is they do. Before we get started on today's episode with Alex Moore from the locations department of the latest season of Doctor Who, I just wanted to let you know that if you want to keep up to date on everything Getting Into TV, then please head on over to my TikTok, because I'm posting regular videos on there with a load of exclusive clips to come as well from episodes, from the stuff that I don't put out in the full episodes themselves. But also make sure to check out the Twitter, Facebook, where it is you want to keep up to date with things like Getting Into TV, because there's more to it than just these episodes on YouTube, wherever it is you listen to your podcasts. But without further ado, here's my episode with Alex Moore. Hi guys, and welcome to today's episode of Getting Into TV. I'm Tom Dix, an AP in TV, and this week I'm joined by Alex Moore, who's a location manager within the world of drama, with credits ranging from Doctor Who to His Dark Materials and A Discovery of Witches. Thank you so much, Alex, for agreeing to chat to me today. Really excited.
Not at all. Thank you for having me. Lovely to chat to you. We did work together a couple of years. I mean, it's probably longer than I think now.
I was thinking this. I was looking at my CV and I was like, I've worked with something. I think it was His Dark Materials.
I think it was series one.
I think series one and two. There was a few. There's a few days that I did on location for that. I was thinking about that the other day. Yeah. Small world.
It's brilliant. And that's the thing in Wales. It's such a small industry. Everybody knows everybody. Or if you don't, you know somebody that does or that's worked with everybody. It's really weird, isn't it?
It's true. It's nice to see people doing well as well. Like I was saying to you just before we started this call, I'm a massive TV nerd, so I'm just really excited to just learn about everything that you do. I suppose the best place to start really is what drew you to a career in TV and specifically in locations. Because I mean, during my time in uni, it wasn't necessarily a role that I knew about. I mean, I probably did just from when I was a kid watching Doctor Who Confidential and just completely immersing myself in that world. But I feel like to someone looking into the industry, they might not know what a location manager is or how to do it. So yeah, it would be great to know what drew you to telly.
It's a funny one because I knew I wanted to do something in television, film, theatre. I sort of started out theatre side of things and like the organisation and bringing people together and you know, it's like seeing a script from rehearsals through to the performance, you know, if it was a school production or if it was a professional or something. So I always sort of liked that process. And so I came down to Cardiff, gosh, probably about 10 years ago now, and went to Welsh College and did a degree in stage management technical theatre. So that's how I started, and I thought that would be where I would be going more than anything, that it would be theatre. And it happened that as part of that, I did an industry placement sort of like work experience and worked with a location manager, because there's a lot of transferable skills, particularly from stage management into television, but particularly locations. You know, it's about schedules and people and logistics. So I sort of, you know, I sort of fell into it in some ways. And I did, you know, at the time I was like, anybody I could get hold of, I'd pester them. Like, can I buy a coffee? Can I, any chance, you know? And there was a lovely chap called Adam Knopf, who's I think producing now. And at the time he was line producing on a job and let me do a couple of weeks as a runner. I was still running and worrying about everything that runner has to do, but still looking, lots of car parking here. And, you know, and I was, you know, quizzing the location owners because I was interested on the place and all that. And again, I did a little bit. It's like I'm not sure if it's an actual role or whether they made it up for me, but like a pre-production runner. Don't know if that's actually an industry job. I'm naturally nosy. I really am.
I just love the fact that you created a job for yourself in them early days.
Oh yeah, definitely. I did 6 weeks as pre-production office runner. I think it was what the title they made.
That's great.
Again, it was one of those things that, you know, as part of the course, you needed some experience. And a lovely guy called Lloyd Ellis, who was the line producer at the time, so oh yeah, we'll take him on. But it was only ever for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and it was that really early prep. There was only about a dozen of us in the office, and I'm still not really sure what
I think
expectation was.
That's just really good though. Is it just proves that, okay, you might not get like a long contract, but in them early days, annoy people and you will get noticed.
Yeah.
And
it's funny knowing that we were going to do this. I bumped into a lady, a lady called Claire Eden. So before I did anything in Cardiff, I worked on a little short film called Ministry of Trance. And it was like a long trailer more than like a short film. The cast, who was it? It was Paul McGann and Tim McInerney. Yeah, so proper actors in it. And it happened to be done like 10 minutes down the road from my house where I grew up. And I met at an event this lady called Claire, who was one of the producers on it. And it was a small budget thing.
Yeah.
I just got chatting to her. I said, well, I'm aware of who these people are in the film. I like the sound of the script and the story, and I am local. I can walk there. And I spoke, and I thought, I don't know this lady. Claire is she's done all sorts of things, but she's quite a big agent. She's producing. She does all sorts of things. And I saw her a couple of weeks ago and spoke to her about our first meeting. Because remember the Saturday, I went up and said, interested in the project, just chatted about the project, how's it going? And I said, oh, I'm down the road. I'd love to, if you need someone to make tea or just generally help out, I'd love to. And she said, come back to see me tomorrow on the Sunday, and I'll have another chat. So we did. Went back on the Sunday, had a bit of a chat. And then she gave me her email address and said to send me a CV this week. Long story, she then let me come on to this short film as, I think officially it was like assistant to the costume designer, which really meant sort of like, a dresser slash tea maker slash runner slash, a bit of everything, because it was a really small crew and it was lovely. But she said it was because of how I'd handled myself, and that when she said, email me the CV, I had done, and she said it was about that first introduction. I'd say, yeah, I was pestering anybody.
That's a really
So
good thing to say is the fact that you followed up straight away. And I think that's a really, really good story just for anyone listening, is the fact that people do care. Like with how you reply and stuff. Like don't just send a half-assed email or something. Like genuinely show that you're interested, and they'll put the effort back into you.
Yeah, and that's because everybody it's like everyone starts somewhere near the bottom and works their way up. So everybody's been there and run ragged and knows how difficult it is to get in. And it's an industry that has always like self-perpetuating, So people are keen to get new people on board if they're enthusiastic.
Yeah.
It was a lovely Tudor building that we're filming in. And I've just nosy about the locations. So I always sort of knew that I was quite, I mean, I've always known I'm nosy, regardless of the day job. But yeah, and that's how I sort of kept going back to locations, really. And so much of it is luck. It is.
Yeah.
And I know everyone says that, and that's no help to you at all. It's like, oh, how do I get into, but it's luck. That is the worst bit of advice. But I've been fortunate that it's been a lot of word of mouth, really.
I mean, I completely agree with what you say. That I mean, a lot of the time, I had a chat with someone the other day asking about how to get into telly, and the thing I always say, and I always feel bad saying it, because it feels like you're just saying what everyone else says, but it is just talk to people, just email people, just watch things and look for the credits and email people. Like it generally does help, and it does sound like just the generic thing that everyone says, but you're building that relationship, and it does work. It really does work. Moving on, just to now as your role as a location manager. I know we skipped a few years there, but what are some of the main responsibilities that come with being a location manager?
I mean, it's really varied. It depends on the size of the production, the size of the team. But so broadly speaking, as location manager, I'm scouting. So finding all these locations, going on recce's with the director. When they settled on the location, I'm then the point of contact between the location owner and the production. And, what can't we do? I'm then obviously talking money as well is part of it. And then also setting it all up. The filming day, bizarrely, tends to be if it's gone to plan, quietest day, because all my work's done before and after.
Yeah.
So on the filming day, I'm more so going, yeah, like this is what we've agreed, yes, no, and I'm there as a presence rather than that busy, if you know what I mean. And then I'll then see it out as well and be the one, the last one on site to walk away and say, yeah, we're happy with how it's left, sort of thing.
How long can your days be? So I remember doing the days on His Dark Materials, and they were long. They were long days.
Yeah, but then it's weird because it depends on the team again, and also how long you've got. Because if you've got some locations where you have weeks to lead into it, they're not bad days. You might do a sort of like a 7 till 6 or something. But if you've only got a couple of days in, I filmed at a couple of places recently where we had a night crew coming in because we had so much to do and so little time to do it in. So you're then doing proper 12 hours and then handing over to somebody, coming back in, and we did that all week. But on the whole, I'd sort of say 12-hour days is a standard. But then again, it depends on if the team's not very big and you've got a lot of locations. I can sometimes be babysitting them on set while whilst they're setting up, and then I'll often sneak off and find a corner and be sending emails and having phone calls about the next one.
Yeah.
So it sort of varies really. It depends how complicated they are. If it's a private house, it's
Yeah,
much more straightforward.
and I suppose it's one of them jobs, just like you said there. You're constantly doing stuff just because you're at that one location. You're still thinking about like the 10 other locations coming up later in the series or whatever. Like it's
Yeah.
constantly moving.
Yeah, by the time I get to the filming day, my head's in what I'm doing next,
Yeah.
rather than sort of there, which I know sounds weird because people go, "How does the filming go?" Oh, what's that? I have no idea how the filming goes. I just know he didn't break anything, and the location owner is happy. It's really, really weird because think, "Oh, I've been here for 2 weeks and we've got road closures and police and all of this." Yeah, but next week I'm in a farm and my head's in ordering the whatever it is for there or getting the tree surgeon booked. It's really weird.
Completely. I mean, I feel like that is the perfect summary of like your job is different every single day. There's a different task, you're in a different location. Like there's different problems. Just talking about the scouting and securing film locations, what is that process like? Like how do you go about, I don't know, say on Doctor Who, you need a planet one week, and then the next you need a farmyard, and then the next you need, I don't know, like an industry building that looks like the inside of a spaceship. How do you go from words on a script to being there?
It varies depending on where you are in the country. So in London and Manchester, Birmingham, where there's a lot of filming going on, and there has been for a long time, there are sort of like agencies where you go to and say, "Look, I want, I don't know, 5 farms. What's on your book?" sort of thing. And in London, it's quite. I mean, I've not done a lot in London, but I'm aware that it's quite sort of tied up. That there's a certain way of doing it. Whereas Cardiff and Bristol does have that. Bristol Film Office has like a catalogue. But a lot of the jobs that I've done, we've looked at a script and gone, yeah, we need an alien planet, so probably a quarry. Where's film friendly for a start? And I always say locations is not about location, it's about people and those relationships. What I do would not be possible if I didn't have a relationship with Cardiff Council, with the people that run tarmac, as a lot of the quarries. It's about those people. So once I've sort of gone, right, okay, this is what I'm looking for. If the director started, and certainly in the case of Doctor Who, the designer's probably on board before the director. So the designer might give us a concept or a steer or sort of, oh, well, it looks like this place that I've been to before or something like that. They'll give you a steer. And then what I love about it is you're just sort of left to go out and find them.
That's really exciting.
It's brilliant. Like I suppose in the Christmas special of Doctor Who, that the church we wrote, the church is a great example of that. In the script, it said it has to be sort of home counties. So you think, okay, well, it's not going to be too built up, but it had to have a spire. So instantly, I know nothing about churches, and I'm not religious. And where are the churches with a spire?
Yeah.
And so immediately that narrowed it down. Whereas some, particularly on Doctor Who, some of the briefs are so broad. Well, okay, well, what could that alien spaceship be? Is it going to be an underground car park or a basement or something like that? And you basically just go off and tend to be, you find like a dozen or so options.
Yeah.
Come back and show the director and the designer, and they'll probably go and look at maybe 3 or 4, and then they'll settle on that one. But it also depends again on the size of the job. I've been on jobs where that whole process takes 6 weeks, some jobs where that takes 2 weeks, and you haven't got time to look at 10. You've got 3 or 4, and there is the odd occasion going, oh yeah, and it does, we all do it, that I filmed somewhere like that before. They were film friendly, because also it's not just how it looks on screen.
Yeah.
Can you get all the vehicles there? Because we were huge, all jobs these days are getting bigger. It's all of the parking and the, is it serviceable, and can we put a lighting machine in the field? And it's the sort of the boring logistics side of it, as well as does it look great on camera?
Yeah, you're not just thinking about what that location looked like on screen. You are generally thinking about where the toilet's going, where's catering going, where are all the trucks going. Like it's a lot bigger than I think people realize.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And also, you're looking at, if it's residential, well, can we close the road? Can we actually shoot here for 5 days without upsetting too many people? Or, can we shoot here at all? And if it's residential, then immediately you're having different conversations and you're having to do a bit more of a letter drop rather than just speaking to one person. So
Yeah.
it again, it really varies, which is great thing about, certainly about Doctor Who. You were in and out of all these worlds, and tonally it had to fit with this and that, and it was really interesting. But also, I always think you've also got to look at the script and go, okay, what if it's House? Well, what job does that person do? Where are they in the country? Where are they in the world? Well, if they were doing that job, they're not going to be able to afford this house in London. So we've got to look for something that's slightly small. So you're reading into the character as well, which I also quite like.
I've never really thought about it in that way. That's actually really interesting. You kind of look at it from a character's perspective, because I suppose that makes so much sense. Like, if you were trying to find, I don't know, like the house of a CEO, you wouldn't put him in like a normal everyday street. You'd probably go for something more upmarket, like big glossy flat or something. I don't know, like an apartment. I don't know, but that's really interesting.
Yeah, because and sometimes saying, well, just find us a house is no help at all.
Yeah.
You need to be able to, even for yourself, just to reduce it down and go, well, okay, I want a red brick one with an extension or something like that. And yeah, so looking at characters, well, okay, well, I don't know, if they were a nurse in London, they're not going to be living probably in somewhere like Roath in Cardiff.
Yeah.
It's going to be it might be like a house share or a flat or apartment, or you're probably not going to be in Penarth for that. And once you sort of know, not the character of the places, but the character of the buildings.
Yeah.
So this house feels like it's in Roath or it's in Grangetown. You sort of, okay, that's where that sort of architecture is. So it's getting also to know an area as well.
A few weeks ago, I spoke to Michael Lacey and Joseph Marshall, who are director and editor on Casualty. They were talking to me about a location they had to find. They had to find a motorway to do a big stunt, but they couldn't find a motorway because it's too expensive. And so they looked for a dual carriageway. They couldn't get a dual carriageway for the exact same reasons. Then they had to find a road, but then make that road look like a motorway. Like, what are the challenges that you face on the day-to-day being in locations?
I mean, there's a lot of times I'll read a script and go, where on earth have we got that? And most of the time, Cardiff has got it. It's brilliant because you've got the beautiful landscapes, you've got the beaches, the woods, and all that. The challenges tends to be when you bring in stunts and nights. Stunts and nights are the two things that go, okay, this is going to have to be really particular scale. And yeah, highways is tricky. Something like that. There were a couple of roads where people, they were built as a dual carriageway and never finished. There's sort of 3 or 4 roads that everybody uses for
I was going to say, every now and again, I'll catch an episode of Casualty and I'm like, I recognize that road from a road that I filmed on. And it starts to happen.
The best one is the old buildings on Bute Street.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago when I was sort of on that funny cusp of, I'd done Dark Materials, but I didn't really know many people. So I was just bouncing around getting sort of dailies or bits here and here there. And I think I filmed at one of the buildings on Bute Street 3 times in 2 weeks on different jobs.
Wow.
So there is an element of, well, they're film friendly and that basement that you needed, well, do you think they'll have us sort of thing as well? But yeah, difficulties tend to be, again, getting to know the like London streets. Cardiff not actually much of Cardiff looks like London. So immediately you go, well, it's either 2 or 3 streets or you're going to Bristol. But then you go to Bristol, you've got to take time off the day and it costs. So it's that conversation. But yeah, I don't know. It depends on what's happening in the scene more than it being, well, castles are really difficult or quarries or, because Wales has so much to offer. And within half an hour of Cardiff, which is generally where productions will travel, it's so much to offer and the architecture is different. So yeah, it depends on, there's, if you're doing a big stunt in a city centre, that's not impossible because you've got that relationship with the councils and the offices. But it goes, right, okay, this is going to be where I focus my time, less so maybe than, I don't know, a quarry or a castle or woods, because you think there's an amount of time that is needed for that. So I suppose the difficulty, it's a long-winded answer, is probably having the time to form those relationships more so than the actual location, I'd have said.
That makes sense. That does make a lot of sense, to be fair. Just talking a bit about the team within locations. Can you just tell me, what does the locations team look like? What could people maybe listen to this that want to get into telly? Where could they start out in locations?
So, again, it depends on the size of the job, but typically a team will be a location assistant. So that's often the person driving the van. They're there on set every day. They're following the shoot crew around, if they need some more heaters or easy ups, or they're there facilitating the shoot rather than the sort of arranging it and going on ahead. You
Yeah.
then have the unit manager who looks after the logistical side of it. So they're sort of more of the parking, the water, the heating, the electricity, the nuts and bolts to physically make the filming work. And then you'll have your location manager that, say, scouts and takes the directors out on recce's. I mean, on bigger jobs, you might then have assistant location managers. So the location manager looks after the budget and is sort of in the big meetings, whereas the assistant location managers might look after some of the locations, do a bit of the scouting. You might have an assistant unit manager, which is just an extra person really for the unit managers. It depends on the job, but as a core, there tends to be at least 3 people on the job. But then alongside that, we'll have marshals as well, which is, and again, not all jobs have that role because might not be the money for it. But on big days, and particularly if you're filming in residential areas or where you're spread thin, you need extra people, there's a lot going on. Location marshals are invaluable and they're brilliant. And that's a great way to get people into the industry.
Yeah.
Location marshalling is a great one because you're often on set, but you have time when you're not necessarily run ragged or, but you can observe.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I found on my days on His Own Materials, like the odd days that I did, there was one that we did in past Certain Gardens, and I remember it was a 2-day, and but it got like sandwiched into like a day because of the weather and stuff. But like that was a really good kind of like experience just very early in my career, and just to kind of like watch people, because at that point I thought I wanted to go down the AD route. So it was kind of it was just so interesting to kind of like be able to listen to the runners and the third AD and just see what they were talking about over the radio. So I completely agree. It's a really good kind of like entry in the fact that you can just watch.
And I think because runners are employed because they're looking after actors or crowd. But if you're locking off, you'll see the crew coming back and forth, going on the coffee runs, the vans turn up. So you get awareness of the number of people and the different roles. And I think because a lot of the time, if if marshals are in locking off, they're still in opposition for a day. And okay, it might not be the most interesting, but people sit and have a chat with you, or people they step off set to smoke or make a phone call, and they come back and they have a chat with you. It's a good way to sort of see, as you say, how it works.
Yeah, you're kind of like it's really beautiful in the fact that you're working on the production, but you feel, I suppose the best way to describe it, but you are just kind of like peering around a corner and just watching, and it feels it's a nice privilege in a way that you are working, you're getting paid, but you are watching. It's like watching a TV show itself, which is quite fun. I really enjoyed my time location marshalling, to be fair.
And the good ones get jobs long term because particularly on something like Dark Materials or Discovery of Witches, Doctor Who, there's often days where you have big setups. So you go, well, okay, well, they were great, let's get them back there, and so it's not a full-time job, but you build up that relationship with them, and we know how that person works and that person knows how we work, and it really does work. And then you go, oh look, we're looking for a location assistant, because from Marshall there might be a location trainee, but tends to be location assistant. And the good marshals are the first ones that go, yeah, they would be fantastic for location assistant. And sure enough, at the moment, Joe Coombs is one of our location assistants on Doctor Who. So he marshals with us on shoot his first series, and is now full-time with us on the second because of a position came up, and he was great with us. He was on it. He was on the radio. He was running around. It's the best way of like an interview, I suppose.
It is. It really is.
And it's great that the good ones do get jobs. And another example was Molly, one of our other marshals, had sort of looked on the set, didn't know quite what she wanted to do, and then there was a script trainee position came up, and she went for that because she's sort of seen how the set worked. And we could recommend her to the script team, and they could ask us. And also, she'd not been afraid at lunchtime to have a chat with them, because I think there is a real, and maybe it's just me, that there's a real sort of mystery about television film. People turn up, things happen, and then they just disappear. I don't know. Have you still found that?
I do find that there is that kind of just like what goes on. I mean, even now, I still I'm so intrigued by it all. Even when I see a film crew, I'm just like, it is that thing of just people appear and I definitely feel like I can ask people what they do now. I'm definitely at that point where it's I'm more inquisitive. But it is, especially when I started out, you didn't want to annoy people. But going back to what we said earlier, it is that thing of you talk to people and you build that rapport and you just kind of like you learn how a set's run. And that's the most valuable thing, is just talking to people. I mean, for instance, I might be in unscripted now. I'm working on Crime Watch within docs, but I'm still very much in contact with people that I work with in drama, just because like you never know when you're going to need one another, and
Yeah,
which
yeah.
because there is that kind of like mix of people somewhere along the line, but it's just build that relationship because you never know when you're going to need them. Talking about getting into TV, for someone that's interested in locations, what are the kind of like skills and things that you think someone needs to be a good location marshal or to be a good location manager or to just work in locations in general?
I think patience, because the days are long and a lot of locations work is busy first thing and last thing of the day.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of hanging around in the middle, and it's an art to look busy
Yeah.
sometimes.
I
You
know
know, there is
exactly what you mean, because even in certain jobs that I've done, say if I was doing a base runner job, I did one on casualty, and like it was my job, just get people to the set, and then when they were at set, I didn't have as much to do, and I felt so guilty. Like every time the line producer would walk down, I just get up off the seat and I just stand there and I'm like, as if that's going to help. But it is just that thing of you're so conscious about the fact that there isn't a lot to do, but you're still there to do something. I totally get what you mean.
People skills is invaluable. Locations, I think sometimes are the problem solvers, but also the great pinchers that you know, locations will help you out, but you will end up needing to ask them a favor as well.
Yeah.
So that people skill is really important. Be able to get on with people and to have that can-do attitude.
What is the strangest request you've ever had on location that you've had to do?
On his Dark Materials, where there's lots of like animal puppets.
Yeah.
And I do remember reading out, can we open stage doors to let the polar bear out, please? What? There's just yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to think about what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, what? Oh, yeah, that was a weird one. But then I always think that's the joy of it. It's weird and wonderful.
Definitely. That just goes back to the fact that it is different every single
Yeah.
day. And that's what makes it so exciting. Keeping on the theme of like skills and getting into telly, where are good places that people can find these jobs?
When I didn't know what I wanted to do, I had a long chat with Ray Holman, who's costume designer. I've no intention of being in costume, but understanding how a costume designer works and what they want, I felt would inform me on what I should be doing to work with them.
Yeah.
But also it meant, yeah, no, I definitely don't want to do costume.
Yeah. It's not always about asking for work. Sometimes it is just about asking for that conversation and in that initial stage.
Yeah, and you know, chapter there's so many great screenings and Q&As, and a lot of the time they get the editor or the designer or they get members of the crew as well. And those are golden opportunities because they're never very big and these people don't dash off. And if you can show your interest and enthusiasm, that can be the conversation rather than I'm training to be this. Have you got any work?
I think that's a really good way of putting it, is what you just said. That is absolutely perfect. I'm going to steal that for future podcasts. I'm going to pretend that it was me. Do you have any like really cool stories from your time being in location that you could possibly share with us?
It's funny because people ask and say, well, what do you do? Most people then go, well, Casualty was filmed in my house, or if you want to film in my house, it's like, yeah, thanks. Noted, but okay, great. But I always say, people go, oh, so why did you do the job? And I go, well, a lot of the time, you're knee deep on a night shoot in mud in a field in the middle of nowhere, but there are times when you're not. And I remember the first week of being a trainee on Dark Materials 1, we filmed in Oxford, and it was great because I've never been abroad with work, but I've been to London, been to Oxford, and as a trainee, sat on the roof of one of the colleges we were filming on the apex, and it was beautifully sunny. Just looking out at Oxford, it was just amazing. I think the only other person that sees this is whoever fixes the roof.
Yeah,
and I still like go, yeah, bins and car parks. But I think Oxford roofs, that was. Yeah, and it's moments like that. And you do, because sometimes you're filming in bizarre places that are tricky. There's a real sort of camaraderie at the end of it where, and it really brings you together as well.
It
And you've
does.
always got, oh God, do you remember when we did that? It was not, oh yeah, but we got it, and that sense of excitement.
Even with doing what I do, like going to be able to speak to people that I would never have got to speak to in my life, and going to really cool places and filming in the coolest of places. And sometimes, yes, okay, it is pouring it down, and sometimes the interview goes on for a lot longer than it needs to go on. But I'm still getting to talk to this really cool person in this really cool building that everyone outside is taking photos of, and I'm in here doing this. Like, it's such a sense of privilege. I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, because one of our blocks recently on Who, Peter Hoare was directing, and was the nicest man, a wonderful director. But he'd done so much, and he'd done Last of Us and It's a Sin, and it was a huge award-winning director that was having calls with the US when we wrapped and things like that. And it was just nice to just chat to him. Part of the joy of location managing now is that I'm out on directors' recce's, so you get that time. You just talk about what you did the weekend, or what's your partner up to, and you just natter away. That was a real joy to be able to talk to Peter just naturally. I think I can probably talk about it. It's the Vespa sequence with shooting Bonnie. That was such, we diverted buses, we closed businesses, we did, asked them to work from home, we had to suspend this, that, and the other. It was a huge undertaking. And
Wow.
then we filled it with cars and had hundreds of essays, and then we put them on a Vespa with stunts, and then we had all sorts go. And that was one of those, we did it.
That is pretty cool.
That was really so. So rather than being sort of like weird and wonderful, it tends to be oh God, this is huge.
It's like a pinch me moment. I mean, with that particular thing being in Central Square, I ran into one of the edit suites because I saw on Twitter. I saw this photo. I was like, I recognize that street. So I went into the edit suite, and I was peering out of the glass, and I was like, I could see everything. I was like, this is so cool. And it is that thing of, even though you're in the industry, it's still exciting.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously not necessarily on the smaller scale productions. You don't blow things up and close whole high streets, but there's whatever it is exciting and interesting.
Yeah,
and you get to see some beautiful parts of the country, and Wales is a beautiful country. I'm obviously not Welsh, but it's a joy to show Wales off and get to be paid to be nosy and find bits and find these amazing. You disappear down a farmer's track, and they've got this beautiful fields next to a river or something. God, this is amazing.
yeah.
And then you go, oh, God, the crew are going to ruin this. But then, how do I look after this? So yeah, it's those big. It does tend to be the stunt days. We're going to blow this up, and how are we going to do that? It's really satisfying.
How do you approach someone and be like, I love your stately home, I need to make an explosion out the front of it? How do you have that conversation? Be like, this is beautiful, I need to set it on fire.
With dread a lot of the times. It's often the actual filming is the last thing I'll talk about. It's about building a relationship. Like, hi, I'm Alex, working on a drama, whatever it is. Show the house and the interest in the property or wherever you are, and gauging that person to know where to pitch it.
Yeah.
And that is something that it's taken me time to work out. Ewan Roberts, who's supervisor on Who, or Finn Bradbury to Dark Materials, they've done it. They've done all sorts of things, and they're brilliant at pitching that. And it took me a while to watch them to do it, to be able to do it myself. And so a lot of the time it's not going and going, right, okay, so we want this, we're going to blow this up, we're going to film this, we're going to put lighting machine there. It's almost a case of, we really like it, show an interest and enthusiasm. And, could we do this, for example? And I increasingly find myself going, well, part of my job is to ask the worst case scenario questions. Not that we want to do that, mind, but if we wanted to, could we? And so I found that's always quite helpful. Because even going like to houses, not necessarily like blowing up a building or something, but you go into someone's house. Sometimes I have had to move people out of the house for a couple of weeks. We've painted the walls, we've screwed into it, and then of course you've got to put it all back. And these, someone's house first and foremost is not a set. And convincing someone to let you take over their house, particularly if they've got kids, we've done it, but it's
a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Massively. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, again, depending on the size of the job, more people turn up. And actually, I found it's less so, can we blow this up or decorate this or take this down?
Mm.
It's more than suddenly you go from the one person that was the introduction and took the pictures to the 10 people, to the 20 people, and it just grows and grows and grows. And sometimes I think that can be a bit daunting. And then once you've done it once, the second time is hopefully easier if it went to plan.
Yeah.
Someone like the National Trust, if I go to them cold, they don't know me, so I haven't got a relationship. But because Ewan or Finn or Gaz has worked with them before, they know that person, and then they can introduce me. Oh, this is Alex that works with me. So the next time I go, oh, do you remember we did this? And hope if it goes well,
Yeah.
because you're only ever as good as the last time you filmed there or your last location or whatever.
Yeah.
It can be a tricky one sometimes.
Tricky but fun.
If you want to be in the industry, it is a vocation. I
Yeah.
think it's not a 9 to 5 job. And I think I would be bored if I had a 9 to 5 job. There are days when I stand in the field and go, actually, maybe I would quite like to be in the office tomorrow.
Maybe I would like
But
to be doing spreadsheets all day.
exactly, yeah. But now I'm doing more of that paperwork. I want to be out. I want to be,
Yeah. I
more
mean,
of what I do.
I'm the exact same. Like at the minute, I'm in kind of like limbo. Like we're in between series, doing loads of development. So it's a lot of office-based stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to be out with the camera. Just let
Yeah.
me go out. Let me script something. Let me do something. And I completely get you. But it is, you look back and it's just like times like this are fun, but you have to do them because you like this quiet time now. It's nice because you're getting to breathe and develop and find story ideas and find stuff to do. But there is that thing. I totally get you. I would love to be out right now. I want to be out with a camera, filming something, not looking at my computer screen 24/7.
Exactly. Enjoy it because it's wonderfully daft and
Yeah.
brilliant and amazing. It's an industry that has so many talented people.
Yeah.
It's not, maybe that's just me, but I think when I say something like that, I think, oh, like the scenics and the art departments, but talented people is grips, sound, editorial, composers. I mean, there's a whole world of posts that I don't understand,
Yeah.
but they are talented in just as much of a way as the people that design the sets or the costumes, and it's full of characters. So enjoy it and don't be afraid to talk to people. And
Yeah.
just remember that everybody started somewhere near the bottom
Yeah.
and they have been there.
Yeah. No one's ever gone in as a line producer. Not happened. Like they've
No.
all worked up, and mostly people will talk to you.
Yeah, and I think if someone has gone in somehow a couple of rungs up the ladder, that doesn't make them the best or whatever that job is, because you need that
True.
understanding.
And
The
the thing is,
best
you go in.
to
That's
pick the
that's
run.
what's beautiful as things like the runners or the location marshal jobs is you get to see it and you get to talk to people and you get to understand what goes on, and that really does help you as you progress. I got one question now, and this is usually the question that stumps people, which honestly still astounds me considering we all work in telly. What have you been watching? You will be surprised how many people be like, I've not watched anything, or I don't know what I've been watching. I'm like, guys, come on.
So I must be one of the few people, particularly in their 20s, that does not have Netflix or any of those subscription services. I hear about them, I just don't have the time to watch it. And I say, I am a terrible person to watch telly with. So, oh, well, that's clearly a set because you can tell they've never seen the win, so I'm a nightmare to watch telly with. But and aside from the being in it, I'm fascinated with what makes someone want to act.
Yeah.
It terrifies me. So I'll watch a lot of older television, things that were maybe made in the 80s. So at the moment, I'm watching this like the original Wurzel Gummidge, not the new, the
Nice.
original Secret Army, Colditch. These because they've been written. If you couldn't physically do it, you didn't do it. So they're really well character driven, and it fascinates me when you can just have like a half-hour conversation and it's just two brilliant actors.
Yeah.
Just side by side. So I watch a lot of that. My shelves are full of older television.
I like that. I mean, during lockdown, I developed a love for dinner ladies.
Oh, see, that's fantastic. And it's what a cast.
Yeah, such an amazing cast. Basically, one set, and
Yeah.
you the stories. It's so funny, and I think it's one of the greatest television programs that's ever been made.
Yeah, I remember a couple of weeks on to Dark Materials, a car pulled up, and out of it got James McAvoy, Lin-Manuel Miranda, somebody else, and an actor called Patrick Godfrey. Now, Patrick was playing James's butler,
Yeah.
but I'd seen him in something that he was a leading man in the 80s. Everyone else, oh, yeah, can we, fussing over everybody else. I was like, oh my God, it's Patrick Godfrey. You were in that and you were brilliant. And it was just really, like, I'm the only person here who's probably seen that, but I got excited about that.
I like that. That's the beauty though, is it's like the industry is so diverse, and you can watch so many crazy things and have them conversations at work. Thank you so much, Alex. It has been such a great chat, just being able to learn more about what you do, because like I said at the start, I'm a massive TV nerd, and as great as it is to help people get into the industry from a vanity purpose, I mean, I'm just really nosy.
That's exactly what I do all the time.
I love it.
But no, thank you. It's been great.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for watching this week's episode. In the coming weeks, I'll be chatting to someone called Brian Fisher, who he dealt with the puppets. So he dealt with the polar bear that Alex mentioned, and he dealt with the meat on the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. I'm also going to visit his workshop, which you'll be able to see on the YouTube channel as well. But if you want to catch up on any episode, just go and check out YouTube, Spotify, wherever it is you get your podcasts. And I will see you in 2 weeks for another episode. See ya.